Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Dave. That's Scott. I want to say hello and thank you. Before we get too far deep into this, I'd like you to hit the subscribe button, the like button, the share button. If I know it's a pain in the rear end on YouTube sometimes to do that, but if you can join up YouTube, there's a lot of interesting stuff on here. It's kind of fun. I enjoy a lot of the stuff that I find randomly on YouTube. But today, our review is Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh, yes.
An early version of Han Solo as a young man.
Yeah.
Just shows him how he's getting the Millennium Falcon, shows him in the Kessel Run. I'm wearing my Kessel Run t-shirt
I see that.
in honor of this movie. The last three movies you and I talked about, episode 1, 2, and 3, and we had some problems with them, needless to say. And I think deservedly so, some problems. Maybe picky fanboy stuff on others, I'll give you that. So if anybody wants to complain and say, well, no, you're a picky fanboy. Yeah, you're probably right.
Sure.
I'll give you that. This movie got a lot of guff.
Yeah,
and I don't know why. I know they replaced the director, and Ron Howard came in to basically save the day.
I think he did.
His brother actually was in an interview with Dennis Miller, and that I listened to a few years ago, like about the time this movie came out.
Yeah. And
his brother said the actors, not just the actors, but the crew was coming up to him going, "Thank God you're here. Thank God you guys are here. Thank God your brother took the job."
Wow.
Because instantly he was like, well, why? They were like, this place has been in chaos and in shambles. And when they all found out Ron Howard was coming, everybody that talked to the brother was like, everybody just started relaxing. Everybody's like, oh, thank God we got a real director and we were in good hands. And I just thought that was very telling of a guy like Ron Howard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that he can calm a situation down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is that coming through?
It won't be.
Okay.
Fine.
I'm sorry, folks. My dog is chewing on a bone behind me, and I just want to make sure the microphone's not picking up.
It's all good.
So if you hear something getting chewed on, it's my dog.
Some of it may make it through, but most of it gets filtered out.
But I felt very good. Initially, I didn't want to go see this movie. I was hearing all the panning, all the bad stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to see this movie. And the wife looked over at me one night. We were getting ready for dinner. And so it was just coming out. We went to see it, I think, on the opening day, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, well, why don't we go see this movie? I said, I don't know. After the last three, I don't know. And she looked at me and she said, Ron Howard took the reins. And she named off like all the movies. And then she stopped dead and looked at me and said, he was in American Graffiti. You know that he's known George Lucas for X amount of years.
It's a great point.
And I was like, holy crap. And she said, he can tell a good story. So chances are this is going to be pretty good. I said yes. We went to see the movie. I don't regret it. I do not regret seeing this movie. I enjoy this movie. There's my 2 cents on this. I enjoy this movie a lot.
I would agree with that. I would love to know the details, and I didn't do any research to see why they ended up bringing Ron Howard in.
Right.
I do laugh because anytime Ron Howard's involved, I'm going to see his brother Clint. And so when I saw Clint in this at the robot fights, it's like, there he is.
You're always going to see Clint in a Ron Howard
always.
film.
And that's really cool. I mean, that whole family and his daughter directing The Mandalorian and stuff like that. So they've built quite a little thing for themselves. And he's known to do a good story. I'm just curious what was going wrong with the movie. I like this movie. I do have a problem with it, and that problem is Darth Maul.
Yeah, but we've
already talked about
that.
To
episode 3, like
that's
how is this guy still alive? He got cut in half.
Well, if I'm not mistaken,
it was a nice surprise.
This is 10 years, around 10 years after
10 or 12 or something like that.
After episode 3, and then it'll be another 9 or 10 years until we get to episode 4.
Yeah, when Han Solo meets Luke at Tatooine, I've always heard, or I always assumed, he's like 35 or 40. maybe
Mhm.
early
That'd
35,
be about right.
mid 30s, and he's supposed to be a kid. That's why everybody always says in the books he was a lot old as Han Solo. He was a lot older than he looked.
Mm.
So that was always an interesting little take on him. Like, oh, okay, this guy's actually older, a lot
Yeah.
older than these guys. So when he married Princess Leia, he was robbing the cradle. That's all I'm saying. I think the character of Kira was a better fit for him. And
Yeah.
I wanted to see how this series ended with him, and it would explain why he gave Leia so much grief when he first met her. Like
Yeah,
he was off
absolutely.
women at that point.
Oh, well, yeah. Look
He
what
was just
happened.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
in the books,
she not only turned on him. I mean, she could
yeah.
have done worse, but she had
Oh yeah.
obviously she was an opportunist. And I want to take a second. I didn't realize when I was watching this that this was Amelia Clarke, and
Yeah.
her performance and appearance is
Hmm.
she's a chameleon in this movie. She
Yeah.
looks and acts different in every act. Act 1, act 2,
Hmm.
and by act 3, she's a badass opportunist, and she's manipulative. She's got the shit
Oh
going on. You
yeah.
could see
Yeah.
it. So major props to Amelia for that, because it was like, wow, is that? I had to do a double take because she looked different, she acted
Hmm.
different, and it was a neat progression to see that.
It was nice for that character, especially when you realize she could have just gave up Han Solo to Maul.
Yeah.
This whole thing was.
Yeah,
I
she
don't
could've.
think she. I actually think she loved the character. Loves Han Solo,
She does.
but she wants power more.
Hmm.
So she got her power. Han actually kind of helped her. So she was like, I still love the guy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go do what I do. I never have to see this guy again.
Now let
Thinking
me ask.
that would be enough for him, but she's got to know the guy's going to go looking for her or something.
Yeah, he mentions that he's on his way to Tatooine because he hears
Right.
there's some gangster or somebody making some moves. Is he referring to Jabba?
Yeah, I think he's referring to Jabba. I think
That's
it
what I
sounds
thought.
like Jabba is just starting to become Jabba.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's just now getting into the big crime syndicate stuff. Like he's not to the level he was in Jedi at all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it was sounding like, and it's like, okay, and here we go right back to Tatooine.
See, and to me, maybe my idea, I think I said to you about Tatooine having like a giant kyber crystal in it or something it would make sense that like in the center of Tatooine was a giant kyber crystal that has all the Force stuff. It'd be interesting.
And why everybody's drawn to it. Yeah.
Why everybody always goes to Tatooine. There's nothing there. It's a freaking desert. If there was an armpit of that galaxy, it would be Tatooine. The butthole would be Dagobah.
And it's swampy.
It is swampy.
Talk about swamp ass. Oh, hey.
I think it would have been better for me, the way that I think, and I don't know that anybody would have caught on to this, but it should have been Han looking over at Chewie and saying, let's go out to the corporate sector. Things are too hot here.
Yeah.
Now, anybody who's read the first 3 Han Solo books, Han Solo's Legacy, Han Solo's Revenge, Han Solo Goes Camping, or whatever the third one was, I don't remember. He's in what they call the corporate sector. It's outside of the Imperial jurisdiction. People have a little bit more primitive guns. They have space flight, but he causes a lot of trouble in areas in those books. And that would have been me. I was hoping that he would say, we're going to go to the corporate sector. And I was like, that would have been a great next movie is just do one of those books. Would have been nice. But that's me. That's the fanboy. That's where my fanboy kicks in.
So I assume, since I don't know much about the expanded universe, I assume the Kiera and the Crimson Dawn appear again, and or not.
I have no idea.
Wow.
No idea. Kiera, this is the first time that I'm aware of Crimson Dawn.
Okay.
I'm sure they're in comics. I'm sure they're in the comics somewhere. Probably in the cartoon because Darth Maul showed up.
Yeah.
There was that showing up was a complete surprise to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when he showed up, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But
yeah, it was.
I
would have rather seen Vader.
Well, Vader would have still been alive then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or Zizor from Shadows of the Empire. Because you know what? I think Crimson Dawn might be mentioned in that book, Shadows of the Empire. I don't know if Zizor or Zizor is in charge of that, or if he's in another clan or whatever.
One of the things about this movie that I like. It is, and it sets it apart. It's very different than the other 10 movies.
Yeah.
This at its core and at its heart is a heist film.
Yes. Yes.
That's bottom line. This is a heist film with Star Wars wrapping paper, and it works.
Yeah,
it works
really well.
It's well cast. Woody Harrelson. Yeah, Woody
Yeah.
Harrelson is great as an asshole.
Yeah,
who he is.
Yeah, basically, it's like he's not acting much.
No, but
I really don't know
really
anything
projected
about,
that.
Yeah, I really don't know anything about Woody Harrelson.
Yeah,
I
don't either.
Not my favorite actor for whatever reason. There was a part of me that just looks at me and goes, "Oh, I don't like you." I don't know why I have that.
Yeah. Hey, that's how it is.
And yet I love him in Zombieland. That movie, Zombieland. I was happy to see him live through that. I was like, oh man, my favorite character in this movie is going to get killed. And he lives through that. And I'm like, oh, cool. Bonus, Zombieland. You didn't kill him, like my favorite guy. But yeah, he plays a really good, and he never truly lies to Han.
No.
He actually, when they meet on that planet in the battlefield, he's telling Han, get away from me. Go get off this planet. Get out of here. It's going to be bad. Things are going bad.
And he wasn't wrong.
And Han follows him.
Because that's Han.
Because that's what Han does. Here, I want to read off everybody's names before I forget, because I always, I get made fun of. I admit it. I'm going to screw up the guy who played Han Solo's name.
And
Eldon, shut up. Eldon Ironich?
Yeah.
Ironich? Alden Ironich was Han Solo. Woody Harrelson was Beckett. Amelia Clarke, like we said, was Kira. Donald Glover played Lando Calrissian.
What a great casting fucking choice
right
there.
Coup.
Talk about smooth as fuck. He channeled Lando so well.
Oh, perfect. That guy was the perfect choice for that part.
I mean, he had the looks, the energy, and it was just like, man, that is one smooth motherfucker right there.
And I love his malt liquor take. You better buckle up, baby. It's just like, oh my God, could you have done it any better?
Before you go through the rest of the cast, I just want to mention, because you say that, he did such a good job of, when you saw that, you believed that was a young Lando. Same way with Alden. I thought that was a young Han instantly, because they studied Billy Dee and Harrison Ford and their delivery of everything and the way they talked and their energy, and they brought it. And it's like, wow, it was very believable.
That kid that played Han Solo was there was a couple of times where he did the swagger. He got the lean just right. He did,
There were times like I thought I was looking at Harrison Ford.
Like, like a younger version. You're like, holy crap! That he did it. He channeled his inner Harrison Ford really well. I thought he did a good job. Jonas Satamo was the big Nordic guy. He played Chewbacca. Thandie Newton, Thandie Newton was Val. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Now I know this name from somewhere, but I can't place it.
But I love L3. Just cracked me the fuck up throughout this entire movie. Freeing the robots. Be free. Oh, and she just her conversation talking about how her and Lando have a thing.
Yeah.
and Kira's like, how's that? It works.
It works. It works. It's like, wait, what? And the look on Kara's face is like, what? How? Never mind. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
L3 is a great character.
That on the extras, they show how they did that. I thought initially she was just 100% digital. Waller-Bridge was on set in basically chunks of the costume.
Oh, wow. So they'd have something to act against. That's great.
The innards were done, but most of the animators were like, no, we didn't need to do that much. We had to do stuff here and there, but for the most part, what you see, it was her movements. Really?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, she's chewing on a bone right directly behind me.
That's what I like to do when I get a podcast. Get me a nice big old beef bone and just
I'm
gnaw
not
on it.
mad, Daisy. My dog is very happy to be in here with me. But it was really cool to see how they did like the moves on her to change the subject back. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a cat in your hand, and I'm sitting here petting my dog.
Yeah.
How they did the special effects for her. It was really cool. And to know that she was on set, so they had somebody to act against, was even better. I thought that was great. Paul Bettany was Dryden Voss. What a good villain.
What a great performance.
I've
always been impressed with Bettany. After watching WandaVision, he was incredible, and then just seeing this is like, my God, this guy is good.
You totally buy that he's just gonna cut your head off, man.
Oh yeah,
you just know you can't trust this cat.
No.
You just can't trust him. Jon Favreau was the voiceover for Rio Durant.
That was Favreau?
The pilot.
Oh, no shit.
The little pilot.
Oh,
I didn't know that until last night when I was watching the
God.
extras. I was like, holy crap, that's brilliant.
Fucking Favreau again.
One
Love
of the little, right? Exactly. Now you know how he got himself in there. The Marauders. The girl who takes off her helmet.
She looks
she's
so
12.
familiar.
Her name is Erin Kellyman, and she played Enfy's Nest.
Yeah.
I'm sure that means something. It sounds like empty nest, Enfy's Nest.
Infant's Nest, yeah. I never could understand what they were saying. I had to actually look it up because, goddamn, these Star Wars universe names are just always Shmee, Infy,
Kara couldn't have been spelled Kira. No, it's Q. What? Why do you have a Q where a K will do? but Erin Kellyman. Now here I'm going to go off on a little tangent about this character. If everybody wants to do a powerful woman being in charge of something, but not be quite Star Wars, that's the character you follow as the Marauder starting the rebellion. She's literally on the ground floor of the rebellion, stealing the fuel, which I'm sure is really tough to steal in the first place, but she's stealing it from people who stole it. So they're even more desperate to keep it than the people she could have stolen it from originally. So this girl and her team are some badass people. You know?
That's where I saw her. She was also in The Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I think she was leading a band of eco-terrorists.
Well, there you go. She's still a terrorist and a marauder, depending on whose side of the wall you're on. Linda Hunt was Lady Proxima.
That's such a neat scene.
It is such a neat scene, but Linda Hunt, I didn't even know she was still around.
Yeah.
She's just a little tiny lady.
Yeah.
She's just
I didn't realize that was,
Yeah, and like he's got the rock. I just activated.
You just made a noise with your sound, with a noise with your mouth.
You just made a clicking sound with your mouth.
Oh my God, that was a beautiful Han Solo moment right there. Yeah, him trying to bullshit it, and it goes so fucking wrong. And it's not the first, and it's not the last time in this movie.
He's fucking up through this movie.
Oh my God.
Warwick Davis was too.
Yes, I saw him. I was like, holy fuck, there's Warwick.
He was with the Marauders, and he was also the little weasel guy who walks up and pats Han on the shoulder when he loses. When he initially loses the bet.
So in Jedi, was he Wicket?
Yeah.
A very young Warwick Davis.
He was very young. He's like, I think they said he was
9 or 10
or 19.
He was older than that. Okay. I thought it was.
I think I could be wrong about his age.
Yeah.
But he was very. No, you know what? You might be right.
He was very young.
You might be right. He might have been about 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
Because he said that that Carrie Fisher took really good care of him.
I've read that they had a great relationship.
Would hold him and carry him around and just baby him the whole time that they were together. Somebody would try to bring him something or help him. She'd no, I'll help him, and she'd take care of him. He's like he loved that woman, and I was like, good for you, awesome sauce.
Yeah. Another great actor that really shows up in a lot of things. So it's good to see that.
Yeah, yeah, he was really good in that. That I started laughing. I said he's always playing these vicious tough guys, and that was a pretty good tough role for him. He
Mm-hmm.
just like machine gunned to hell a bunch of guys, you know. Like, okay, we're
Not what
done
you
here.
expect.
Um,
He's an angry elf.
yeah, but he's a happy elf. I got
Sorry.
notes. Did you take any? Did you want to?
I don't have any notes. I don't have any
Okay.
notes.
I mean, these are mostly bullet points. The winningest thing in this movie for me, or one of the winningest things, the aliens actually speak Huttese with subtitles.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
There
you.
you
Thank
go.
you. I
They
noticed
brought that
that last
back.
night. It was like about fucking time. This is more believable than the horrible.
I think we should kill her. I don't know what's going on. Okay, thanks. Stop acting.
Please.
That did this. We talked about the thermo detonator scene. If anybody's out there that watches this and is still thinking, "Oh, this is a horrible movie. It's not Star Wars." It is Star Wars. It just doesn't have any Jedi in it. Okay, seriously, if that's the only reason you're watching Star Wars, I think you're missing a big picture, a bigger possibility of storytelling. That's me.
Yeah, let me jump off of that because
Okay,
that's one of the things that I noticed is you're seeing a lot of the Empire in here, and you're getting a lot of the story of the Empire, and I thought it's really cool. And there's a recent video game called Star Wars Squadrons, and it takes two different paths. You can either be part of the rebellion or part of the Empire. So I'm curious where those stories. I like seeing stories that show you the other side because the Empire does not think they're bad people. No. They're bringing peace.
Well, that's what that lieutenant says.
That was really great.
Asks, why are we even here? He says, we're bringing peace to this planet. And Han's like, good job.
Yeah, no, it was great. Yeah, it's really working. And they said, we're the invaders. Yeah, this is their planet.
The guy was ready to shoot his ass right there.
But Han was right. And I like seeing stories that take place from the show you stuff that's not the Jedi. That's not Yoda. And it's really cool.
There's other stories going on in this universe, and
there's a lot of
the Han Solo story, for me, was the perfect story to do for Han, because while it was still in continuity, it was things that you kind of knew about. Larry Kasdan, and his son. I want to make sure.
Yeah, I thought that was cool that they both wrote this.
Yeah. They did such a good job at writing this because the old man is the one who wrote. I got the names mixed up. I was saying maybe Rick McCallum had done Empire, and I should have known better because this is one of my all-time. It was Kasdan. He also wrote Indiana Jones.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, when he finished Indiana Jones, Lucas hit him and said, "Come with me," and gave him Empire to write. That's why that movie's so good. Between him and I forgot the woman who was the co-writer, but she was an old school from the 40s and 50s noir writer, but romance. Oh, wow. She would do like gangster stuff, but with a little bit of touch of romance. And for the life of me, I should have looked up her name. I didn't realize that you can even bring her up. But she was the one who put the romance between Han and Leia in there and made it uncomfortable with Luke. That was like kind of all on her to bring that in. Done so well. And everybody's like, wait a minute, aren't they? And she's like, yeah, but nobody knows that yet. Kind of thing. She, they knew because they were writing it. Yeah. But I thought that was pretty cool. The Kasdan came back, and he is a big reason that the director was replaced with Ron Howard. Because I know that him and his son were coming in there just like, I remember reading a couple articles where he or they were very upset about the dailies. They were very upset about going on set and people being upset and being like just in a bad. And there was just no camaraderie. Nobody was getting along, kind of thing. And I guess he finally went to whoever the powers are, and he's a powerful enough guy to go, you need to get rid of this guy. You need to get somebody over there that knows how to direct. And I don't know. I'm going to take on my part and say I imagine he brought up Ron Howard. I don't remember reading anything about that, but it just seems likely that he was like, Ron Howard's your guy.
Was this movie filmed before or after Rogue One?
It was after Rogue One, I believe.
Okay,
I believe it came out after.
So Ron Howard didn't he have to also go in and fix Rogue One?
I don't think he may have. I don't think so. I think somebody
Okay.
else went in and fixed
It was
Rogue
somebody
One.
else? Okay.
I could be wrong.
We're going to find out
You know
next
what?
week.
We're going to find out next week whenever we review Rogue One. But it's interesting. I want to say maybe he advised on Rogue One.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think he actually stepped into the big boy boots.
Okay.
But I think he may have advised. We'll find that out for next week because that's a good question. But it's interesting, which leads us all the way back to where I was going to go, was if you get a chance and you watch this movie, I want everybody to sit down and watch the extras. There's a scene where they're sitting at the round table and Ron Howard is asking the questions like, what did you do when you first got the show? When you found out you got it? Who was the first person you told?
Oh, I started to watch that last night, and
Like a
Alden's answer was funny as hell. He just kept going and going, and Donald Glover's like, that's just such an Alden answer, you know?
Yeah, it's like, I jumped on a, what did he say? Jumped on a
Ferris wheel, a roller coaster. He went and got on a roller coaster. Told his grandmother, who told everybody within a week.
Yeah, I told my mama she can't tell anybody, and she told everybody. Everybody knew. That was good. It's a good answer. I liked Thandie Newton's answer. Mm-hmm. She found out. She kept her cool for a couple hours. She made her kids dinner because she said her kids never think she does anything cool. So she's sitting there and she makes dinner and they're all sitting at the table. She's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I got the part in Star Wars." And everybody's like, all the kids were like, couldn't talk.
I bet.
I thought that was pretty cool.
She's really good. I first saw her in Westworld, the HBO series.
Oh, really?
And she plays a main character throughout it, and she's an excellent actress.
Oh, cool. Good to know. Yeah, I don't know her from anything else, but Kat picked up on her like right away. She's like, "Oh, she looks really good. She's really good in this movie." I said, "Yeah, she's great." The motorcycle cop stormtrooper in the very beginning when they're all doing the chase and he kicks it on and goes after him and they give the yell. And that yell comes in again.
Yeah.
He rams in that yell that's in every single Star Wars
the
movie.
Wilhelm scream or whatever.
Yes, the Wilhelm scream. That's it. I couldn't remember what it was. Yeah, every movie.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. I wait for that now.
We are going to put it in our next short.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. That's freaking funny. The two main characters, Alden and Phoebe. No, not Phoebe. Hold on. Alden and Amelia Clark have really good chemistry.
Oh, they do.
They have such good chemistry.
You buy it immediately. You believe it the minute the first second you see them together. There's no question.
And that was the problem that we had mostly with the first 3 Star Wars movies that we watched, is the chemistry between the two main characters never
It was
worked.
better in the third. It was much better in the third. And I think probably because they got to know each other.
Well, they were almost never in the same room.
Yeah.
I mean, really. They were never really in the same room in that one. But they had good chemistry, I thought. That was good.
Yeah.
I liked how Solo got his last name.
I thought that was really cool. It's like, oh no, that's perfect. That's perfect.
And that worked. I know some people were upset about that, and I'm like, no, that works. He's a little womp rat or whatever you want to call him. Like
he's alone.
He's an orphan. He's not around anybody.
Yeah.
And then he asks what happens is Han Solo is trying to escape from since he was a child, he's a slave.
Well, it's obvious he's with other orphans who are sold into running scams and all kinds of shit. Street kids that honestly,
he's trying to get away from it.
Here's the fucking shame. This is a possible future for us, and things are still the same as they were 200 years ago.
Right. Right. Exactly. But it's funny that he's trying to escape, and the only way for him that he sees, because the people that are chasing him are starting to kind of close in on him. He's got nowhere to go, and he looks across and he sees a recruiter station for the Empire. He runs over there and he just joins the Empire.
Yeah.
And the guy asks him his name is like Han, and he goes, "Well, what's your last name?" And he's like, "What?" He goes, "What are your people's? Who are your people?" And Han looks up and he says, "I don't have any. I don't have any people. I love that line because it's the first time you realize how alone that character really is.
Mhm.
He only has Kira. That's why whenever he was in the Empire, whenever he's fighting. He didn't just make the promise to come back to her. That's
He
all
really
he
was
had.
trying.
Yeah, that's all he had was Kira. That's why he fought so hard to get to her.
That's
So
what
I
makes
thought
the
that
ending even more painful.
Yeah, because if you remember that point where he says, "I have no people," fuck, that's almost heartbreaking. And then the guy's just like, "Oh, Solo, Han Solo," and I'm like, that was such a good piece of writing that it's an Imperial officer that gives one of the most notorious spice guys, spice runners, their name. I just thought that was a great thing. I was like, well done, Kasdan. Well done. Very well done. Golf clap.
What's interesting, you mentioned the spice, and it just, I'm so glad I've started digging into the Star Wars universe and watching the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. In the Book of Boba Fett, the Pike Syndicate is a major part of the story arc.
Right.
So getting to see that, starting to put all these pieces together from watching all of these offshoots and stuff is actually pretty cool. It's like, wow, my brain's just like wiring all this shit back together. It's like, wow, this is a grand scope of stuff. So
that's
God
cool.
help me when I start the Clone Wars
or
Rebels.
That I couldn't get into them. For me, the animation, the story writing was great. You're gonna love the stories. For me, what was putting off was the animation.
I get it.
But that's me. I mean, I'm going to sit down one day and I'll start trying to watch them. I'll see if I can find them on DVD or something used because I don't want to give Disney any more money. But that's me.
It's kind of hard to avoid. It's like saying I don't want to buy anything from China.
Yeah, exactly. But I do my best.
There you go.
I do my best. I'm not always successful. I just like that Beckett kept giving him good advice.
He did. Even during his dying breath.
Yeah, even during
his
dying breath.
Listened.
Yeah. And, I should have worn my Han shot first shirt. Because, that's where he gets it from.
Yeah.
Kasdan wasn't afraid to leave Han shooting first. He learned that from Beckett. Don't take any chances, and if you think you're going to get shot, shoot that mother.
Yeah, he learned that from Beckett. So it's really cool to see that. So I'm glad Kasdan went in and wrote that way. So it was
well,
there you go,
that's where Kasdan was like, "No, George, you can't have this win. I'm gonna fix your fuck up, George. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here you go. Do this. Say this line. All right, Eldon. Okay, thanks." Because that's kind of how Kasdan sounds. He never sounds rushed. He never sounds angry. He never sounds like he's in a hurry to talk about anything. He always just kind of talks like this. He's well, yeah, it was a good, kind of thing. He's a funny guy. I like that the young Han Solo hasn't been completely disillusioned at this point in his life. That happens when Kira sails off in the big yacht, and he's standing down there with a big furry friend. But that's a moment that you realize he's looking around going, damn.
And that's a big part of the formation of his character. But one of the things I thought was neat. It was I think it was an interview with Alden, or I can't think of the actor's name who played Chewbacca. One of them had said that they were told this story was a love story about two people who didn't know they were going to be together.
Right.
It is. It's a Chewie and Han story.
Yeah, it's Chewie. That is definitely Chewie and Han's story.
And it's really cool to see that. And thank God he could speak Wookiee. Otherwise, he would have been dead.
The only thing that kept him alive was that armor. Yes. That body armor. That would have broke his back. That would have broke his everything. That would have just destroyed that guy.
Yeah,
he would have been down after the first hit.
I love that we get to see Chewie rip some arms off again.
And
Han's like, I could have worn that uniform.
Yeah, that uniform would have fit me perfectly. That's what's funny. It's like in every movie, anytime somebody gets a uniform, it always fits perfectly when they knock somebody out. And this one, he looks over, he's like, that uniform would have fit me perfectly.
And Chewie's just got an arm and a leg.
Got the arm. It's like, that was a good scene.
funny because that is kind of a running thing with Chewie throughout the rest of the movies now, is always ripping something off.
Well, they always talk about it, and I've read it in a couple of books where he does it, but they never showed it in the movie. It's always just like, oh, Chewie's so fluffy and lovable. No, but he's not going to do that to anybody. Rip!
Yeah.
Yeah, no qualms about doing it either.
No, and he would have eaten that porg.
He would have definitely eaten that porg. I ain't buying that he wouldn't eat that porg.
No, I believe he would have.
The two stormtrooper guards were funny as hell. Kill him slower.
Yes, during the fight, yes.
I got 10 credits. He'll kill him in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is a different type of filmmaking than we just saw in the last three.
Definitely.
This is looser. This is fun. This is somebody coming in and having a lot of fun with the story, and it feels more real. It's not as dark, even though it is a very dark story. When you see what the Empire's doing and you hear about Chewie's backstory, holy fuck!
Oh yeah,
it's really bad, but it's a funner movie all the way down. It starts off with a damn car chase.
Yeah. He's stealing the car. It's all the screen. The entire screen is black, and then the spark, and you see a guy's hands trying to rub two wires together. Another big spark. You see it again, and he's hot wiring a car and taking off. Yeah, it's brilliant.
I know it's a speeder or something, but we're going to call it a car.
It's a car. It's a hot rod. I mentioned him being alive because of the armor. Yeah, Jonathan Kasdan and Lawrence Kasdan. Lawrence Kasdan, like I said, is the guy who did Empire. I think he helped with Jedi. I'm not sure. When we cover that, we'll find out. But he's one of the originals. He's one of the original Star Wars guys. He knows Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
He knows like the lore as well as George Lucas. And it's funny, his son would go talk to him, and he would ask his father about stuff, and the dad would be like, yeah, well, I don't know about that. But he knew, like, none of the really newer stuff, but he knew, like, the old lore, and that's what they stuck with. And that's why this movie, for me, works so well. When you have Kasdan writing and his son writing, and then you have Ron Howard come in and save the day with doing whatever uptakes and reshoots or whatever he had to do, it worked. It all fell together. Thank goodness, because it's a good movie.
I don't know if I would have known it was a Ron Howard film without knowing that he directed it. But it definitely, to me, when I look at it, I can look at it after the fact and say, this is a Ron Howard film.
Yeah.
This has got that energy that he.
Well, you saw his brother Clint.
Yeah.
As soon as you see Clint, you're like, oh, this is a Ron Howard film.
Yeah, that must be it. But no, there's something about his films. I can't explain it. It's just it's like an artist's signature.
Yeah, it's almost a feel good. There's something.
Yeah, you can tell who painted something. You can tell who drew something because they have a certain style, and Ron has a certain style of telling a story.
Right. No, that works. You're absolutely right. And it does. It feels like one especially after you know it.
Yeah.
After you know that it was him directing, you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely him directing. I only have a few more notes. I'll go down them real quick. The droids on Kessel set the humans free also. I seen it, but it only registered last night that the droids were actually setting the humans free. You know?
That's why I love L3. She's just like, I have found my purpose.
Yeah, I'm so glad we took this job.
Oh, such a wonderful, goddamn, I love that character. And I love the droid coming up in Rogue One as well.
Yeah, he was a great character.
Yeah, so it's...
Rogue One. Anthony Daniels, the guy who plays C-3PO, makes an appearance in this movie.
Where was he?
He was the Wookiee that Chewbacca was with fighting side by side. And at the end, they bump heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Anthony Daniels.
That was Anthony Daniels.
Now, I don't know, and I'm going to have to look, but I swear I saw Peter Capaldi in the hangar bay when Han goes to sign up for the Empire.
Really?
I don't know, but it's somebody that looked like Capaldi.
Wow, that's funny.
So I'm going to have to look right now. So talk about something.
What's funny is with knowing that Anthony Daniels was in this movie, to the best of my knowledge, he's the only cast member to have been in every single Star Wars movie. From the original
Wow.
all the way to the travesty that is number 9 that we'll talk about one day.
That's amazing that
Yeah.
he has been able to do that.
And L3, you're right, she's just the best. That was a note that I made. She's just the best.
Yeah,
Ron
no
Howard,
idea if he was in there or not. It doesn't look like it, but somebody looked like him, and it's like, because I know
Really?
when we get
That's
to
cool.
I think it's The Force Awakens, Daniel Craig is a stormtrooper in it, and there's so many famous people that are, because everybody wants to be a part of it.
Which makes no
put on a
sense to
trash
me.
can.
It's like, I'm not hiring Daniel Craig to be a stormtrooper.
They probably did not even have to pay him.
No, I'm sure they didn't, but still, it's like, there's an actor. There's an actor over there that wants a job.
I know, but
that's where I start drawing the line. Like, you know what? If you're my buddy, that's one thing. Like,
that's probably what happened with a lot of these.
If I was directing a Star Wars movie, you were directing a Star Wars movie, I would expect you to give me a call and go, "Hey, Dave, you want to be a short stormtrooper?" Yeah, hell yeah, I want to be a short stormtrooper.
And it's also like, you take a look at the Mandalorian. For a lot of stuff, they use the 501st.
Yeah.
So a lot of people got a great opportunity to come in and do some of that, and it's.
Well, did you
really
watch the extras, right? Where they were all like, "Oh my God, we don't have enough money. We
Yes.
don't have budget for this. Well, how are we going to get all these uniforms? They're all locked up, and they're trying to figure out the whole thing." And I think it was Favreau was like, "Why don't we just call the 501st?" And everybody's like,
And they did.
"Oh my God, what? Who?" And some of them were like, they didn't even know who they were. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Really? Call the 501st. There's got to be a garrison around here somewhere." And there were like people like, "Really? You think they'll do it?" No, they're going to all sit at home. So yeah, I think I want to say it was Favreau's idea to call them.
Oh, that's great.
When they all came in. How would you turn that? You wouldn't turn that one down.
No, of course not.
No, not at all. And it was Ron Howard's idea to have the Kraken monster in the vortex or whatever.
The Maelstrom. Yeah.
They were showing like all the film, and they were like, "Okay, we're gonna have him do this. We're gonna have him do this." And he's like, "Hey, yeah, that's really great. Could you put a big monster in there?" They're like,
"Why not?"
He's like, "Yeah, like a big monster." And they're like, "Okay, fine, put a big monster in there."
It looks really cool. Yeah.
Did you watch any of the extras?
Not really.
When they sit in the cockpit, that's a wraparound screen, like all above, all the way around the sides.
So
if you're looking out the window, you're seeing space fly by. If I understood, and what Kat and I were talking about last night, if I understood what they were saying, is when they were in the Maelstrom and they're all moving and they're all doing the thing, they didn't realize that there was a monster that was put in the film.
Oh, that's great.
That if I understood what they were saying right, so when they're all in the dark and they're like waiting for something to happen and that big eye opens up, that reaction is a real reaction. Like everybody went, "Whoa!" That was like their real reaction.
That's great. I hope the cameras were rolling.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's like, oh shit. But I thought that was funny. I was like, oh my God, because Kat's like, I think he put that in there. And weren't they running? I'm like, I think you're right. I think that's what they said. That was.
Well, that brings up something. You mentioned the curved screen, and that's like how they do the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, developed all this new technology to make a better effect. It's so much better than using green screen. And that brings me to the point that the CGI is miles ahead of Revenge of the Sith. Of course, a lot of time has passed, 20 years or whatever.
Yeah,
so
they had all that time for the same guys developing it, plus having new people come in that learn stuff from other places. So, yeah, it looked really good.
It looks amazing.
Really
I'm curious, 20 years from now, I'm going to go back and watch this and see if it still holds. And I have a feeling it won't. But it looks good now. And that's how we think of all of them, It's like, but.
And of course, it's funny because there's the conductor, John Powell, did this, but with John Williams. Now, I don't know if John Williams and him sat down together or if he was just pulling John Williams' music. Because going through the Kessel Run was feedback music or old touchstones to the Asteroid Field Run in Empire.
I was recognizing a lot of stuff sounded familiar, and there's a lot of sound cues in here. I love love to use the sound in this movie.
So good.
Because you hear the Star Wars theme, and it's like,
yeah.
It's just, it just gives you chills.
When they hit, the Millennium Falcon hits that light speed, and you see the burst.
Oh, yes.
And it goes dun dun, and the music the Star Wars theme hits, and it's like, that's beautiful. That is a guy who knows what he's doing. That's a Ron Howard sitting down with the music guy, John. I don't know if John, like I said, I don't know if John Williams was actually there doing it, and this other cat Powell was like basically doing all the rest of the music, but pulling from him heavily. I don't know how that worked, but it worked really well. They did a good job on it. I follow a guy real quick, and this is my last note. I follow a guy on Instagram called Colin Cantwell. He's been a designer. He designed the original X-Wings and stuff like that, all for Star Wars. Some Death Star stuff. He did some stuff like that. And when I was going through the trivia, there was a lot of like praising of Colin Cantwell and his work. And I was like, that's awesome. I like to see that guy get praised for what he deserves. He's a good artist.
Yeah, that's really cool.
He seems like a good bloke.
That's really cool. Your dog is enjoying the hell out of that bone.
Oh, my God, yes.
Get a bone, girl. Go on, get that.
But, he's a really good artist, really good designer. He seems like a good cat. And that's all my whole thing. It's just an early story of Han Solo and how he became Han Solo. And I haven't talked enough. Real quick, I want to bring up Lando Calrissian again.
Yes.
How good Glover was in that scene, in that movie. Have to get rid of the bone. Sorry.
That's quite all right.
In that movie, he had the cloaks, and he just couldn't understand how.
Oh, they make the joke about all the capes.
Yeah. All the capes. He's like, what? The guy has a thing for capes, doesn't he?
And when she's putting out the fire with his cape,
that
one.
They were custom made.
I love him as Lando, and this is what we needed, because when we get to Empire and see Lando,
right,
that's it. It's so short. And we don't get enough. And now you're seeing the things that you kind of heard about. You're seeing the card game. You're seeing Han win the Millennium Falcon. You see the Falcon get its shape because he destroyed the escape pod, was it, or something?
Yeah. He jettisons the escape pod. He's like, watch this. Not the escape pod. Like, what did you have in that escape pod, Lando? Like, how
more
much,
capes.
Yeah, more capes.
More capes.
That would have been hysterical. My capes! But Lando Calrissian had a couple of books too, and I forgot who wrote them. But he like a short trilogy of books for him.
Oh, okay.
They were pretty good. They were pretty interesting. And one of them, he's cheating, and he has an earring, and the earring is an android, like feeding him information into his ear or something like that. If I remember correctly, that was him wearing the earring. If anybody's read not the Han Solo, the Lando Calrissian books, let me know if I've got the right character. But he's got some good books. Glover played him perfectly. Just played him to the T.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
When I saw that, I was like, I want to see another buddy movie with those two idiots in it. Like, I want to see those guys, because they had more than one gambling together. They did this like several times, like back and forth with the Millennium Falcon. Until
really?
Solo just goes and steals it. At one point, Solo just goes and steals it.
Well, that's kind of a running thing, and that's what's funny is, at the beginning, Solo loses his ship, which he doesn't even have. The funny thing is, Lando really doesn't have a ship either. It's got a boot on it.
Right,
so they have to steal it then.
I like how Beckett handles that. Can you get that up? Yeah, for another 5%. Yeah. You're at 20%.
Yeah, really good. To see. I think this movie's really well cast.
Very epic.
Donald Glover was just such a great fucking choice.
He was perfect. I can't see any other actor.
Not now.
After him, playing Lando. If they were like, oh, we're just going to cast another guy, I'd be like, no. You can't cast another guy.
Nope.
Pay him whatever the hell he's asking.
If we get a Lando movie, it better be him.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I wanted to see the Lando movie before I wanted to see this movie.
Yeah.
And what I thought they should have done was had the Lando movie, like, basically end with him in that bar and Alden coming in.
Yeah.
And then when this movie starts, the Solo movie starts, you show all that leading up to where they meet.
And then boom.
All of a sudden, that's how they meet. That's okay. That would have been good. Because you would have ended the Lando movie with the beginning of the Sabak. You know they're getting ready to gamble, but you don't know how Han Solo gets there. And then with this, you have Han Solo coming in. But that's me. That's a petty thing. That's a fanboy wish that never happened. So I'm good.
Yeah. So how do you place this with the rest of the Star Wars movies?
Out of the 3 we just watched, especially this one, it has for me has to take top billing.
Yeah.
It's a good heist film. It doesn't purport to be anything else other than a good Han Solo origin type story.
It is.
And it's a heist film. It's a great heist film.
It is.
It really is. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
There's so much double crossing, so much action.
Everybody's double crossing everybody in this movie, man.
Yes,
it's hard to
that's what you're going to get. You're dealing with a bunch of thieves and scoundrels.
Yeah, they're just gangsters, man.
Scruffy nerf herders. And but yeah, it's a good movie. I'm with you there. I put it out of the 4 we just watched. I put it at the top. It is one of my favorite out of the 9. It does go near the top. It's just because it's fun, it's different, and it's the Han Solo origin story we needed. I want to see more stuff like this about other. There's so many stories. This universe that Lucas created has got endless possibilities. Just in this time frame when we can jump back 1,000 years forward, and it's just there. There's so much to mine, and I think we're going to be watching Star Wars till we die.
Hopefully, it'll be good Star Wars.
It will be.
I'll be watching the first 3 anyway. Episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, the original. There's only one trilogy.
There is only one trilogy. There is only one true trilogy, and it ain't Lord of the Rings. Just a lot of walking.
I'm walking.
I'm walking this way. I'm walking up a hill. Walking down a hill.
If y'all haven't got it, we do recommend Clerks 2 also as one of Kevin Smith's best movies, in my opinion.
Clerks 2, and Mallrats.
Yeah.
I would say Mallrats. Those are 3 really good movies. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. How about you?
I did. Like I said, I'm watching it with my wife, and she's seeing some of these movies for the first time. She really liked this one.
Oh, that's cool.
So this is the first time she's seen that. So
she'd never seen Solo before?
Nope.
Wow, cool.
Nope, and she's about to watch Rogue One for the first time. So
very nice.
She's only seen the last 6 and all the Mandalorian and everything.
Have you said anything to her about the way Rogue One ends?
She already knows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was just gonna say I would like to get her take, because I'm not a big feminist guy. I believe everybody is equal.
Oh, you're talking about that? Yes, she and I have discussed that because and we're going to talk about that next week.
Oh yeah, this one gets talked about.
This one gets talked about, even though I love Rogue One. Dave and I have issues with the ending, and we'll explain that. Yeah. Not the actual Darth Vader ending, but what happened there before.
Just to explain real quick, I'm not like the super, I'm going to jump down everybody's throat for having a sexist moment. But man, that was just
that was unnecessary.
But we'll talk deep about that one in the next episode. Rogue One.
Yeah. So thank you to everybody for tuning in and watching us as we make our way through 11 Star Wars films. And next week, Rogue One. So may the force be with you.